Hello folks, welcome back. Today's session is one of those topics you won't find explained on YouTube, Instagram or by fin influencers because most don't know how it actually works behind the scenes. So we are talking about the liquidity, the real engine of market. Price is just the noise coming out of that engine. So liquidity is the engine itself. I'm not an economist, I'm a trader who learned all this through by with real positions, real risk and real mistakes. So my goal today is simple: make liquidity so clear and practical that tomorrow morning you will see the market in a completely different way. Okay. So once you understand the liquidity part, you stop reacting to candles and start predicting the behavior, which I called as a context. Okay, let's start in a simple way. So liquidity means how easily big money can enter or exit a market, an asset, or a different segment. Okay, let me clear it with a example so you can understand in a easy way. So you can see this is a pool on your left side on the screen. So think of liquidity as a water inside this pool. So if the pool is full, you can jump in, splash a little, but the water won't erupt, right? So that's a high liquidity market, smooth, steady, and the balanced. So if the pool is half empty, even a 3 5 year old kid can jump or can create a big splash, right? So that's a low liquidity market. Sudden spike, stop hunt, which we already witnessed such kind of move in Nifty in last 2 quarters, huh? And in crude as well. So here's a simple definition of liquidity. Like liquidity equal to how easily you can buy or sell without moving the price too much. So this is why sometime you place an order and the market jump. There was not enough water in the pool, and we can say like no operator do not wake up in the morning and thinking कि आज तुम्हारा stop loss मैं खा जाऊंगा, है ना? It's just a liquidity. So liquidity equal to money in the pool. Okay. Now let's come to the another slide. How big money uses that liquidity in different assets like crude, gold, and the equity part. Okay. So understanding cross asset liquidity is a trader's real edge. And a big money doesn't watch one chart. They watch everything together. All the assets, gold, bullions हो गए हमारे, crude, equities, yield, dollar index, because their position are huge, they need deep liquidity to enter or the exit. So if crude is weak, they reduce inflation exposure. If gold is strong, they hedge the equity risk. If equities are rising with low liquidity, they force retailers into the FOMO, fear of missing out. So what you see on this slide, like crude, gold, and the Nifty, uh, like this is their dashboard, we can say, है ना? So they care where the liquidity is sitting because that decision where they can buy, where they can sell, and where they can trap. So this is the real institutions dashboard, we can say, जो भी recently में हमने देखा, where the crude fall from $61 on and come on the downside, then again rise on the higher side with the news of US government shutdown जो news आई, right? We will take that example later, है ना? So retail sees the candle and institutions see the flow. Okay, so this video entire completely change your perspective how the liquidity rotate in the market. Okay, so why liquidity matters? Price move only when the liquidity shift. Let me clear it with the example. Like here's a simple example. Imagine there are only 5 buyers in the market and you try to sell 100 lots. So the price will slip until it find enough buyer, right? So this slipping is not operator का झटका, है ना? It's like liquidity shortage. So when liquidity flow into an asset, trend became stable. जो भी trend होगा वो stable हो जाता है, and the pullback became very clean, and you can measure it with the Fibonacci as well, and the volume flows intention. Okay, so when liquidity flow out, we can see some spikes appear, stop loss hunt happens, and some fake breakout increase, है ना. फेक ब्रेकआउट्स बहुत आने लगते हैं जो भी निफ्टी में है. दैट्स आई एम सेइंग कि liquidity is dry up in the US market as well. Okay, so most retail traders stare at the candles most of the time, and smart traders stare at the liquidity flow, है ना. ये जो hedge funds guys हैं वो ये कर रहे हैं, and you are missing that part. So because the liquidity reveal intention much before the price does, so money move first and the price react later. ये हमेशा होता है. Okay. Okay, and like three market framework जो हम बात कर रहे हैं, crude and gold and the equity. So this triangle is like, I can say, my morning filter or the hedge fund players filter, a 30-second read we can say. So crude क्या represent कर रहा है? Crude is equal to growth plus the inflation. If crude rises, inflation pressure rises. If crude fall, growth fear increases. Okay, like we witnessed crude rises at the duration of Russia-Ukraine war at the first clinch, right? It's almost a spike around like 110, $130 something. And the gold representing like equal to fear plus protection. Like gold rises when the traders want safety, है ना. Like you can see some quote are rotating on the social media, safe haven asset, है ना. गोल्ड को रिप्रेजेंट किया जा रहा है विद अ सेफ हेवन एसेट. सो क्यों हो रहा है? बिकॉज देर इज अ सम फियर. सो इक्विटी क्या रिप्रेजेंट कर रहा है इन दिस फ्रेमवर्क? इक्विटी like equal to, we can say, confidence plus liquidity. uh, can represent liquidity rises when the money is flowing into risk. Okay, so when crude and the equity support each other, the market is confident. When gold and crude both fall, that means liquidity is shifting, जो अभी आपको देखने के लिए मिल सकता है. Okay, that's my own perspective. So when gold spike and crude falls, when gold spikes and the crude falls, we can say risk of the environment. Okay, so 2 out of 3 matching, हम बोल सकते हैं we can get some clean buys. So all 3 matching equal to trend day. All 3 disagreeing, that means choppy, trap, prawn days, है ना. So these 3 decide the market tone. Okay, in this example, like this is a recent example I already covered above. So you can see the SPX try to fall from the higher, right, where the crude also fall and the gold rises. Okay, recent like this happen where some distortion we saw and the crude fell around like 4% in a single day, and the gold rose more than 2.5 to 3%, right, on Thursday session. So and equity stayed near all-time high mostly. So this is the combination where like retail sees this and say कि market weird लग रहा है. But what the professionals says here, like liquidity rotation, money left the crude, jumped to gold, and the equities up due to short covering. So yields up due to macro risk. So जो macro का risk था, that's why on Thursday you can see 1.5 to 2% bond as well rises. So in totally weekly on a frame you can see 4% rise. So there was some news, US government shutdown ended after 43 days. So this is a like mixed signal, a liquidity rotation, not a random move. Okay, and this is a recent chart in a percentage term, how much fluctuation happen and what the bond yield doing in last like 1 week or in last 1 year itself. So why crude down plus gold up matters for the equity markets, है ना? So this is the most reliable cross asset signal. So when crude fall and gold rises, institutions are reducing risk, so they are hedging, not building fresh long exposure. Retail sees green candles and buy aggressively. So meanwhile the liquidity tone is defensive. Okay, like treat this combination, we can say, like a red flag. So play light and avoid forced trades. That's why I'm saying from the August, mid August ki light play out karo. Okay, this is one of my context trading at that time. Okay, so look for trap around the key equity levels, like which I call the auction levels. You know, in September 24 I shared almost like 25 to 30 script of auction levels, and it worked like magic. So some of script working above it, so they are in trending. Those script fall below it, they never reclaim those levels. Okay, and like this is a chart where we can see some correlation with the SPX and the gold, you know, how much they move and how much return in last 1 year from like 1124 to 1125. Okay, equity rises despite crude falling. So this happen very often, like crude falling reduce inflation stress and equity get relief. But this relief rally is mostly, we can say, on the old businesses, short covering, not real buying. है ना? और ये if you are a open interest fan, so you need to, if you track all like last 1 year, I can say, so you will see most of the play out happen in Indian market is on old businesses, long unwinding, short covering. That's it. In between some long happen, long build up and the short build up happen, that's part of process, है ना? But not the maturity of the orders. Okay, so like here is the psychology, I can say. Retail thinks it's the start of a fresh trend, but institutions know it is a short term unwind, है ना? वही मैं आपको बता रहा हूँ. So if crude is dropping and the equity is rising, don't chase, check the volume and strike before jump in. Simple, है ना? Like you cannot say this is a relief rally. No, it's a trend reversal. Okay, you can see like this is a relation uh, in like equity versus the crude. So I got this chart from trading view, someone posted earlier. So you can see how the crude and the xpx give some divergence in between. In that duration equity rises where the crude as well as fall. So crude ने उसको catch up किया है with time. Okay, bond yield interaction, I can say this is a hidden driver, and you will realize it after like I can say 2 or 3 quarters. Okay, one thing retail ignore completely, this is the bond yield. So yields up, we can say liquidity expensive. Yields down, that means liquidity free flowing. मतलब वो फंड कहीं शिफ्ट हो रहा है. Simple. If yields rises and equity rises together, both rising are together, that means something is off. And that thing happens in 2022 to 23 period. You can check the equity market of US. I think उन्होंने बुल मार्केट में पार्टिसिपेशन नहीं किया था एट दैट टाइम, इफ आई एम नॉट रॉन्ग. यू कैन क्रॉस वेरीफाइड विद योर चार्ट. सो ट्रैप्ड शॉर्ट हम बोल सकते हैं. ट्रैप शॉर्ट्स इक्वल टू इवेंट बेस्ड एडजस्टमेंट. टेम्परेरी मार्कअप होगा, दैट मीन्स लैक ऑफ कन्विक्शन. So whenever the yield and the equity moves together, reduce risk. You need to play with less position sizing. Okay. So yields क्या expose कर रहा है? The truth. And this is a chart of yield of last like from 2008. You can see it traveling around the same reference. So before the COVID, it was around base level of 2.5 to 3. Now it's trading above it with a rising equity as well. So something is off. Definitely something is off. So how hedge fund rotate the liquidity? So they trade mostly the basket. They are not trading a single instrument, है ना. uh, Mostly they are trading all the assets at the same time. So like we can say, if crude weakens, they reduce inflation exposure. If gold spike, the hedge equity long. If the dollar strengthen, that means they adjust global positions. है ना. So their goal is not make money in one market. Their goal is to balance risk across many market at the simultaneously. So retail sees the candle, institution sees the entire ecosystem. है ना. They juggle liquidity across the whole system. There is no doubt in it. Six sign of liquidity rotations. So here are six real world signal money shifting. You can say crude move more than 2% minus or plus, doesn't matter. Okay. Gold break a weekly level, like recently I mentioned about 4040. So that's a weekly auction reference, and we need to keep an eye in upcoming week as well. Okay. Equity rises with weak volumes, जो अभी हो रहा है, and yields spike without news. You can correlate it, right? Dollar index get strong. यहाँ पे कुछ देखने के लिए फिलहाल नहीं मिल रहा. And VIX quite during all the rallies. Like I'm talking about last 1 year. You can see where is the VIX right now. You can correlate it, right? If two of these appear, avoid blind longs. I shared 6 figure here. If you are getting two, completely avoid blind long. This is my own reading of decades. What I'm sharing here, this is not like from any book. Okay. So if 3 appears, that means exact trap. And I got that trap early as a sign, I can say, in September 24. And result, सबको पता है. Okay. Trap days, like how one can recognize the trap days on the basis of the liquidity. So I can say trap days are built when the equity goes up without crude support. Like the divergence cannot be up to of 2 to 3 quarters. 2 quarter is okay, but more than the 2 quarter divergence, that means something is off. Okay, so gold refuses to fall. Gold नहीं गिर रहा है. Still something is off. Yields rises against the trend, जो कि हो गया है. We are trading above that benchmark of 2.5 to 3 for a long period of time. So option writers remain comfortable in that scenario, which we are witnessing in a wider balance. So volume doesn't support bullish move. Okay, this create a false strength. Breakout happen only to eat stop loss, then reverse sharply. And we already witnessed multiple times in last 1 year. So retails can call this as a manipulation, but professionals जिनको पता है, they are calling it liquidity harvesting. Simple. So market is not personal here, it's just hungry for stops. And we can say like trap equal to liquidity sweep. ये बोल सकते हैं हम, है ना? There is no doubt in it. How to like crude gold equity align on trend days. So trend days में ये कैसे alignment हो सकता है? Like trend days feel easy because liquidity is moving in one direction. Okay, crude support करेगा, gold weakens होगा and equity get flow. Simple. So move extend naturally. On such days, what one can do is add on pullback, use trailing stop loss, stay with the structure and avoid overthinking. है ना? So trend days happen less often because but they pay for many small losses. We can say out of 100 session you will get like 2 to 3 sessions as a trend day. So the percentage is very less. So what we need to do here is alignment equal to smoothness. Okay. And what you can do on a regular basis is like 3-minute reading every day. Like you need to make your checklist, how much the crude percentage change, how much the gold percentage change, what the yields done in the previous session, how the dollar index moving, right? And lately you can track how the ATM option writers are doing. Simple. And that's what I do, like writing only the ATM strikes, not the like deep in the money and not the deep out of money. Okay, so out of this checklist, two of three align, that means trade normally. All misalignment हो रहा है, that means trade with small quantity. Okay, अगर सभी align हो जाता है, that means you can go with increased size. So this routine alone prevent half of the emotion trades. Okay, this will take hardly 3 to 4 minutes. Rules of trading day with divergence. Okay, so that means when market disagree with above factors or like our checklist, है ना, we can say, so what we have to do: cut size, play with a small quantity, book quicker, that means look for scalping opportunities, avoid breakout नहीं मिलेगा, market will mostly work in like normal days. एक्सपेक्ट स्टॉप लॉस हंटिंग, है ना, हम ये एक्सपेक्ट कर सकते हैं. एंड वी डोंट नीड टू बी बाइस. सिंपल. ओके, सो डाइवर्जेंस मीन्स द मार्केट इज नेगोशिएटिंग लिक्विडिटी, नॉट द ट्रेंडिंग है. डाइवर्जेंस इक्वल टू डिफेंस मोड, हमें डिफेंसली प्ले करना है. ओके, and we need to make some rules to align. So when the all the like our checklist aligning together, so what we can do in that day trading or for the swing basis, in that duration we need to scale gradually, and we don't need to jump with heavy quantity at the same time. No, we need to scale gradually in some scripts, not all the scripts. Add on structured pullback, होल्ड द विनर्स, जहां से अच्छा प्रॉफिट आ रहा है होल्ड इट. ओके, अवॉइड अर्ली एग्जिट्स, ट्रस्ट द मोमेंटम. जो भी मोमेंटम हो, ऑन द हायर साइड और ऑन द डाउन साइड, डजेंट मैटर. यूज योर TSL. TSL is must. Okay, alignment days are where professional traders make money. Okay, like we can say alignment equal to permission to attack. उनको permission मिल गया है, they are getting those checklists and they are attacking from the front foot. Okay, now like I already shared this chart, है ना. So this is a real case study recently happened where crude fell sharply and fear of demand in gold में safe haven उसको बनाया गया, है ना. safety demand, like we can say yield risely at that time, and the risk expensive Nifty spiked, as well as the spike comes in SPX here. So we can say liquidity trap writers, right? So every clue was visible before the breakout, ये हम बोल सकते हैं. Okay, cross asset view explain the traps. Okay, and okay, this one on the left side is a Nifty order flow chart. Okay, for the day structure. In the mid of it, this is a trades with a size. On the right side, this is a ask and bid of like depth of market in the real time. Left side is a sellers, and on the right side is the buyers. Okay, so this is we can say the liquidity zone where orders accumulate. Okay, and stop sweep, we can say sharp wick हमें मिल सकती हैं, वॉल्यूम स्पाइक हो सकता है. ओके, सो पैटर्न रिपीट होते हैं, बट ओनली इफ योर आई ट्रेन इटसेल्फ. ओके, with the what the psychological edge we can say to grasp those liquidity. Okay, size is not like decided by the confidence, how much the confidence I have in a system. So उसके हिसाब से मैं अपना पोजीशन साइजिंग इंक्रीज करके प्ले आउट करूँ या रिड्यूस करूँ. नो, साइज इज डिसाइडेड बाय द लिक्विडिटी टोन. वट एवर वी डिस्कस्ड अबाउट, दिस इज कॉल्ड द लिक्विडिटी टोन. So normal day है, that means we can go with 1 to 2% alignment, है ना, 1 to 2% से हम जा सकते हैं. So if my checklist is aligning together, that means I can increase my position and can go with 3 to 4%. Okay, and where the divergence coming, that means I need to reduce it by like 1% and half percent. One half to 1% मेरा होना चाहिए. So from last 1.5 year, what I'm doing is playing with the same structure. Why I started to play or adding my options for the intraday as well as the weekly writing in a part system, like add partially around 200, then add if price come around 160 to 165. Why I'm doing that? This is not I'm doing from my own psychological aspect. No, this is what liquidity telling me here. This is the what tape is like speaking loudly कि यादव जी ये करना है आपको. Okay, sizing by context protect you from big unnecessary drawdowns. Okay, so like what I can say here कि market doesn't give extra respect for trading big, only extra punishment. Size follows the context. Okay, so emotions are the biggest liquidity trap in the stock market, and we can say FOMO, fear of missing out, right? Confirmation bias, frustration. So all come from ignoring the context. So if you are ignoring any context, that means you are inviting all those emotion factors. What you can do here is use a pre-trade checklist to minimize your emotions. Okay, you need to ask before taking any trade or making a plan कि what is the liquidity saying here, what is my risk in percentage term, not in points, in percentage term on your capital. Okay, where am I wrong? While you are making a plan, you need to ask this question, है ना? So if you can't like answer all those three questions, you need to skip that trade. Checklist ही सब कुछ है. You need to avoid your emotions with the basis of checklist. You need to ask some daily questions as well before trading, like where is big money flowing, है ना, liquidity हो गया, is crude supporting or contradicting, is gold calm or fearful, है ना, or we can say yield rising or falling, are the writers comfortable at the money strike or not. Okay, so asking the right question build discipline. Someone can like counter and say कि sir price action is king. Let me tell you one thing here कि the real meaning of price action होता है क्या? What is the price action? So price action is not a pattern. It's not a pattern. Like I can see some analyst, they are saying कि this pattern already happened in the past. Now the price action suggesting same in that script falana falana. Okay. This is not a real definition of price action. Price action is the liquidity reacting to orders. Simple. What is the price action? Price action is liquidity reacting to the orders. So a candle is just the final result, we can say. A candle is the final result. Okay, the liquidity before that candle created it. So if you understand the liquidity, you will know why the candle happened. Price is just like shadow. Liquidity is the object. So why mostly retailers get trapped in such kind of market behavior? Why? Because they are chasing the candle colors, right? So trade like they want to trade everything. They want ki Nifty 2% fall ho raha hai, they want to get into the put. If Nifty is rising by 1%, they want to get into the call side. You are trying to chasing the candle colors. Simple. That's why you are getting trapped most of the time. You are ignoring the key liquidity fundamental things, ignoring the yields, crude, gold, checklist, and forget you are forgetting you are not every day marking how the ATM strike option writers are working. Overall, you are not understanding the liquidity depth. Okay, so retail loses to context ignorance. Simple. Okay, so liquidity हम बोल सकते हैं दिस इज द रियल एज. लिक्विडिटी इज द अर्लीस्ट सिग्नल बिफोर द प्राइस, बिफोर योर ओपन इंटरेस्ट, बिफोर योर वॉल्यूम्स, बिफोर द all the indicators. So this is the advantage you get when you think like big money. What is a big money? Big money is equal to liquidity. They are looking for multiple assets at the same time. They are not looking just the Nifty options, 26,000 call and the put. No. Okay. With the final summary, I want to wrap up like liquidity is the driver. Okay, you need to track the crude, gold, and the liquidity from the framework. Yields will confirm you. It will warn you earlier, and the divergence equal to trap. You need to check all those checklist I shared here. Okay, and alignment milega. That means you can go for the trend. And I can say size, position sizing, I already elaborated. Okay, so like I'm not an economist guy, है ना, I'm a trader who learned this over the years. Now you know it. Share this with a real trader, not gamblers, है ना. Why I'm saying this, repeat on like repeating again and again, share it with the real traders, not the gambler guys. So I welcome your appreciation and the comment. Tell me which topic you want next, something meaningful and logical, because like most of the topic you will get on the YouTube or from Google and other sources on the social media, because fin influencer are highly active. Okay, in the last, what I can say is trade the context, avoid the noise, and see you in the next video. Okay, so this is your edge. Like this is my edge earlier, now this is your edge, so use it wisely. Thank you for the watching video.